I wanted to show you the garden and what's starting to go into bloom. Let's start over here. Distance Drums is just finishing up here. And I'm not particularly a fan of oranges, but they're really growing on me. So let's start here. This is Living Easy. And it is roughly and very similar to Easy Does It. And Easy Does It is a very vibrant coral color with hints of orange in it. And this is a wide shrub. If you look at this, this is about 4 foot wide. And I love the ruffly blooms and that color. And this is what it looks like when it first starts to bloom. Okay, let's go look over here at Double Easy Orange. This is from Jackson and Perkins, and this is a great bloomer. I was really happy with it last year, and I've got another one here next to it. Back here is a new one from last year. This is Lewis Clements, and it already has black spot, which is lovely. And then this is Fun in the Sun, just getting ready to start a bloom. Over here is Westerland, and I am training that around the corner of the house. Okay, let's go see what's blooming at the road. This is my red beds, and this is Princess Anne, and she has been blooming for at least a week or more, and her color is so bright. Look how vibrant that is. She's about 3 feet now wide. Yep, I haven't been out here to deadhead. We'll go ahead and take those off. Ooh, look back here. This is Tredescant, and this is an older David Austin variety. This is Port Marion. Sophie's Rose. Darcy. Back here is Tess, and she has been pegged. This is Rain de Violette. And this is Prospero. Benjamin Britton. The Mayflower, little tiny blooms. And this beauty is Gertrude Jekyll. And when I see Gertrude Jekyll now, I think of my conversation with Michael Marriott, where he helped me with my pronunciation and said it rhymes with treacle. Gertrude Jekyll. Barbara Austin. Harlow Carr. Louis Odier. I have Benjamin throughout the garden because I think that he's just such a great accent plant. This is Pretty Jessica getting ready to show us her stuff. This is Leander. Let's walk around the other side to get a look at him. This is Sir John Betjeman. Lots of blooms. Gabriel Oak. This is Maggie. Maggie is a bourbon from 1900. This is Jacques Cartier. Got two here. This is the Fisherman's Friend. Let's pull back a leaf here. And the Dark Lady. So these beds are just starting to come into bloom. This is a rose that we don't see very often. It's Christopher Marlowe. They discontinued it a few years ago from David Austin, and it's got some nice coral color to it with a little bit of yellow on the interior. Okay, we're over here on our side fountain bed, and this is an Evelyn here. She's a little nodding. And if you look back here, I've got some Mosaic that is showing up in some of my David Austins. You may be familiar with that. It is not contagious. It's just that you can't take a cutting from that rose because each propagation will also have the Mosaic. This is a knockout. It is sunny, and I just love that it's always in bloom. So just a nice hint of color. If we look over here, we've got an Evelyn. Here's another Evelyn that is a little bit too heavy, so I need to stake this. And this nodding beauty is Pat Austin. This is our sunroom bed. And I like to walk the bed this way. This is Vanessa Bell. She is blooming wonderfully. She always does every season. A wonderful performer, and you'll see that she starts with a darker hue of yellow, and then she fades to a white. And I'm not normally a big fan of yellows, but I do like how this fades down, and I'm so happy with this rose. She's been such a great performer, and I highly recommend her. Okay, this is Abraham Darby, and Abraham Darby is one of the most scented roses in my garden. He is not resistant to black spot. Excuse me. I struggle with him every year, that he is very black spot prone in a humid environment. So I think it's good to have one Abraham Darby so you can experience his scent, but for me, I wouldn't probably stock up on him. This is Benjamin Britton. Okay, coming down further, this is Carding Mill. She looks so pretty with Benjamin Britton. Okay, this trio is Winchester Cathedral, and it was one of the first to bloom this season for me. And she has a little bit of pink hints to her coloring. This beast is Sonnenwelt, whom I love, and I can't wait to share her with you when she goes into bloom. I see some buds down there right now, starting. This is Princess Charlene de Monaco, another Benjamin. This is Windermere, and Windermere has hints of pink to the color. It is a very light and it fades to white. Okay, this is William Morris getting ready to go into a full flush. It is a really full shrub. This is Soul Sister, and this is the first year that I've been really happy with the way that she's been looking. Benjamin Britton, offsetting Lady of Shalott. And you'll see that I have obelisks this year to support Lady of Shalott. She tends to be arching and having something similar to octopus arms, but you can see she is just so beautiful. She is often recommended for new rosarians because she is so prolific and not picky and easy to grow. Okay, and finally on this bed, we have Desdemona. I've got 3 Desdemona here together, and you'll find that on this bed I've planted in threes to make it look like it's a larger bed. And I plant 24 to 30 inches or so apart. So we're walking through the second arch. I have a lot of irises in bloom right now. We lost a tree here this season, actually a few trees, and so it was a very shady area, and I had a lot of hosta, and I'll be pulling those out now to put in more roses, of course. This is Olivia, and she is used to blooming in a partially shaded area. So this is her first year now in full sun, and she is happy either way. She'll take the sun, she'll take the partial shade. She is an awesome rose for any situation. Continuing on, this is a Proven Winners Italian Ice down here starting to bloom. Beautiful viburnum. The peonies are budded up. Allium. This is Bolero. If we look back in the bed, this is About Face. I have one knockout left in the yard. I've rehomed all of mine, and I left this one here to see how it does this year. This is Sentimental. So if you were looking for a similar rose to Ferdinand Pilchard that is easier to grow, I would recommend Sentimental. Yep, I'm looking back here, and my Alnwick has Mosaic. And I've been wondering why it has not been thriving. So I will be replacing that. If we look down here, a lot of peonies. This bed here really gets full sun. And this is Rose de Rochette. Look at that beautiful striking color. It's just so fun to look at. The blooms are about 2 inches in size. And if we look over here, this is Wisely 2008, and it offsets the color of Rose de Rochette very nicely. This is Mary, and Mary has been a problem child of mine. She gets black spot most years to the point where she doesn't even like to bloom. So I'm going to be trying to pay attention to her this year and see what we need to help her. If we look down here, this is another Olivia, and this Olivia has been used to full sun, and she is just as happy as our other Olivia. This is a new rose bed, so there's not a whole lot in bloom back here, but we'll check on them later in the season. If you remember, we did a video on rose pots on the pier. I have a drift rose out there in bloom, and one rose that we bought at the very end of the pier, all the way out. Polynesian Punch is also blooming. As you can see, I love Nepeta. I just think it's such a nice punch of color. So let's go look and see who is blooming down here. So this is Mother of Pearl. And you have to keep in mind, for me, we are within 10 feet of the water. And she has thrived down here. She's good in wind. Who cares about water spray? I don't recall her being an issue with black spot. So mother of pearl is just a fantastic rose. If we look over here, this is Skylark, and she's just finishing up some blooms that I did not clean. She has that beautiful cuppy look that so many of us love. And she's next to Teresa Bene. The interesting thing about this rose is that it has 7 leaves, and if you look at it in contrast to the other roses, it's much lighter. If you add her to your garden, that'll just give some more visual interest, not only the lighter color, but the difference in the leaf shape. This is the ingenious Mr. Fairchild. He's not been a great rose for me. So I'm hoping that he will do better this season. Looking up the hill. This is Totteringly by Gently. And it's fun because it closes every night and then it opens back up. And so these will be wide open here in an hour or so. Let's look in here. This is Eustacia Vi, tucked in there. Kew Gardens. Fighting Temeraire. I love, love, love this rose. It is just so fun and beautiful, that color. I love it against the purple. It's gonna open up like this and be really light, but it's a very large bloom. This is Fair Bianca. She's got a little bit of Nepeta on her. Pink Traviata back there. We'll get a closer look. This rose is Comte de Champagne, and I love the cuppy look of this, especially with that Nepeta. The buds start a little bit more of a yellow hue, but when it is aged, it looks creamy, and it's just really delightful. If you are looking for an Evelyn lookalike, consider Gypsy Sue from Antique Rose Emporium. It is a really beautiful pink. This is aged down a little bit, so it looks more creamy. Heavenly Rosalind, another one of my favorites. I love that it's single petaled. The bees love it. They can really get in there, and it closes down at night and then opens up its petals again. Zade. Zade is a Cortez rose, and the buds are really fun to look at. This is Hyde Hall. I know you're wondering, who is this fun little girl? This is Ringo All-Star, and she is so prolific. It's by proven winners, and we've got lots of different colors in here that look like a party. Light pinks and reds and corals. I mean, you can just see she is really full of buds. Lady of the Mist, Reign Victoria, and April Love. Okay, this is Eglantine. I'm gonna have to look at my files on this one. Foxy Lady. Foxy Lady has some wonderful color variation, a lighter coral, leaning towards orange. Tucked in down here is Claire Austin. Let's walk around and look at Foxy Lady. This bloom is really large. Look at it against my hand for comparison. I love the ruffles. Okay, let's walk back out now. Acropolis is a really interesting rose. It's dusty in color, and it would be a great offset with a smaller bloom for a vase. Augusta Louise. Look at this tiny little Roxy in here. This is a miniature from Cortez. Back here we've got the Poet's Wife. Its first bloom. Okay, Boscobel. And then this is Anne Boleyn. Bright and Sunny. And the first bloom from Life of the Party. Okay, we're finishing up. This little beauty tucked in here is so pretty against the Nepeta, and this is called Lillian Austin. I found her at High Country Roses. I've got so many bees out here. They're really happy to have everything in bloom. This is Bullseye, and it looks a lot like Ringo, but just slightly different coloring. This is another one that closes up during the evening and opens during the day. Yellows and whites. Okay, this is Evelyn. Coco Loco, a really interesting dusty rose. And then if we look up, this is a standard of Darcy Bustle. pot garden. This is white veranda. Peach drifts. And cream veranda. Also in bloom is angel face that are tucked in here. Back here, Grim Fairy Tale. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be showing you more blooms here in the future.